1754, as the French continued to build fortifications along the Ohio River and threaten British colonists, the royal governor of Virginia, Robert Dinwiddie, commissioned George Washington, a lieutenant colonel, and ordered him to raise a regiment of militia and set out and hold the forks of Ohio, but only act in the defensive. While camped at Great Meadows, Washington was informed of a French camp only 15 miles from his current position by the Half-King, the chief of the Mingos, a Native American tribe friendly to Washington's cause. Washington was convinced the French were there to attack his forces and decided to act first. What follows is highly debated, as there are several differing accounts as to what happened during the battle. On the morning of May 28, 1754, Washington led a raiding party of 40 men as well as the Half-King and his warriors, and surrounded the French. Once they were close enough, Washington's men opened fire and surprised the French. Washington's forces would exchange musket fire with the French for about 15 minutes before the French would eventually surrender. The French would claim to be diplomats and not a military unit. Washington would treat the French and their commander, a man called Jumonville, with military courtesy. However, during interrogation of the French commander, the language barrier was proving to be quite difficult. That is when, without warning, the Half-King would kill Jumonville with a tomahawk to the head. Seeing this, the other Mingo warriors would also kill several other French captives, and Washington was unable to intervene. A French survivor who had escaped would return to Fort Duquesne and report the massacre. For this part in the attack, the French would brand Washington a war criminal. The French at the Battle of Jumonville Glen would lose 10 men and 1 wounded, with 21 captured, while Washington would lose only 1 man and 2 wounded. Later, the French, led by Jumonville's half-brother, would lead a counterattack on Washington at Fort Necessity, resulting in Washington's only defeat and signing of what he thought was a document of surrender, but it was also a confession of the assassination of Jumonville.